First contact fiasco. The starship Terran Envoy hung in orbit around the azure world of Zeta Proxima b, its sleek hull gleaming in the light of the system's binary suns. Inside, Ambassador Sarah Chen paced the bridge, her normally composed demeanor betraying a hint of nervousness. This was humanity's first official diplomatic mission beyond their solar system, and the weight of responsibility pressed heavily on her shoulders. "Ambassador, the Zetan delegation is hailing us," announced Communications Officer Raj Patel, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Sarah took a deep breath, smoothing down her formal attire. On screen, Mr. Patel. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a being that seemed to defy the laws of biology. The Zetan diplomat resembled a shimmering, translucent jellyfish crossed with a tree, its tendrils swaying gently in what appeared to be a chamber filled with luminescent gas. "Greetings, beings of Earth," the aliens' thoughts resonated directly in their minds. "I am High Arbiter Zilx of the Zetan Conclave. We welcome you to our world." Sarah stepped forward, a practiced smile on her face. "High Arbiter Zilx, on behalf of the United Earth Government, we thank you for your hospitality. I am Ambassador Sarah Chen, and we come in peace, seeking friendship and mutual understanding." The Zetan's tendrils rippled in what Sarah hoped was a positive response. "Your journey must have been long, Ambassador Chen. We have prepared a welcoming ceremony that will begin shortly. However, we must first address a matter of grave concern." Sarah's smile faltered slightly. "This wasn't in the briefing." "Of course, High Arbiter. How may we assist?" The alien's form pulsed with an intense blue light. "Our scans have detected that your vessel is powered by what you call fusion reactors. The use of such volatile energy sources is strictly prohibited in Zetan space. It is considered an act of aggression." The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. Fusion power was the cornerstone of human interstellar travel. Switching it off would leave them stranded. Sarah's mind raced. The briefings hadn't mentioned this restriction. She had seconds to prevent a diplomatic catastrophe. In that moment, she made a decision that would alter the course of human-alien relations forever. She laughed. It wasn't a nervous chuckle or a diplomatic titter. It was a full-bodied, genuine laugh that echoed across the bridge and through the communication channel. The Zetan's form recoiled in surprise, its tendrils twisting in confusion. "Ambassador Chen, I fail to see the humor in this situation. Your energy source." Sarah raised a hand, still chuckling. "I do apologize, High Arbiter Zilx. It's just that. Well, you've told a classic joke among spacefaring races, and I couldn't help but appreciate it." The alien's bewilderment was palpable. "That joke?" Sarah nodded, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "Oh yes. The old your power source is illegal gag. It's a traditional prank played on newcomers to a star system. I'm impressed by your delivery. You almost had us." The bridge crew stared at her in shock, but Sarah pressed on. "In fact, this reminds me of a human custom. When we play a joke on someone, and they fall for it, the prankster must then share a meal with the victim. It's how we bond and show there are no hard feelings. So, High Arbiter, I insist that you join us for dinner aboard the Terran Envoy. We have some fascinating Earth delicacies I'm sure you'd love to experience." For a long moment, silence reigned. The Zetan's form rippled and shifted through a kaleidoscope of colors. Then, to everyone's astonishment, it began to emit a series of harmonic pulses that they realized was laughter. "Ambassador Chen." The High Arbiter's thoughts rang with amusement. "In all my cycles, I have never encountered such a unique response to our standard security protocol. Your species continues to surprise us. I find myself curious about these Earth delicacies you mention. Perhaps we have much to learn from each other after all." Sarah's grin widened. "Wonderful. We'll prepare for your arrival. And High Arbiter, I hope you're ready for some more human surprises. We're full of them." As the communication ended, the bridge erupted in a mixture of relieved sighs and nervous laughter. "Ambassador, Captain Miguel Reyes approached, his expression a mix of admiration and concern. That was either the most brilliant or the most insane diplomatic maneuver I've ever witnessed. Sarah shrugged, the tension finally leaving her shoulders. Sometimes, Captain, when faced with an impossible situation, the only solution is to change the rules of the game. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to inform our chef that we'll be hosting a being that breathes luminescent gas for dinner. I have a feeling this is going to be an interesting mission. As she strode off the bridge, the crew watched her go with a newfound respect. Humanity's first steps into the galactic community might not be conventional, but they would certainly be memorable. In the following days, as news of the unconventional first contact spread, diplomats and xenoanthropologists alike would debate Sarah Chen's approach. Some would call it reckless, others inspired, but none could deny its effectiveness. The Chen Gambit, as it came to be known, would become a case study in thinking outside the box when dealing with alien cultures. The Zetans, for their part, were intrigued by the humans' ability to find humor in tense situations. It sparked a cultural exchange that would last for decades, with Zetan comedians attempting to master the art of the practical joke, and human diplomats learning the nuances of Zetan color-based emotion expression. As for Ambassador Chen, she would go on to navigate countless more alien encounters, each one as unpredictable as the last. But she never forgot that first meeting and the lesson it taught her. In a galaxy full of differences, sometimes laughter is the best universal translator. The story of humanity's entry onto the galactic stage had begun not with formal treaties or technological exchanges, but with a laugh and an invitation to dinner. It was, perhaps, the most human beginning possible. The Galactic Academy Challenge. 5 years after the Chen Gambit, humanity had secured its place in the galactic community, if somewhat precariously. The next challenge lay in proving their worth intellectually. Enter Zora Olson, the first human student accepted into the prestigious Galactic Academy of Sciences on Centauri Prime. Zara stood before the towering crystal spires of the Academy, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Students of 1,000 species milled about, their forms as varied as the stars themselves. Some floated on anti-gravity fields, others slithered on multiple appendages, and a few seemed to phase in and out of visible reality. "Don't gawk, Earthling," came a sneering telepathic projection. Zara turned to see a Vraxian, its gelatinous form shimmering with disdain. "Your kind barely understands quantum mechanics. What makes you think you can compete here?" Zara squared her shoulders, remembering Ambassador Chen's advice. "When they underestimate you, smile. It confuses them." She flashed a grin at the Vraxian. "I guess we'll find out together, won't we?" The first few weeks were grueling. The coursework was beyond anything Earth's best universities could offer. Zara found herself struggling to keep up, especially in hyperdimensional calculus and quantum xenobiology. But she refused to give up, spending long nights in the library, her determination growing with each challenge. It was during one of these late-night study sessions that Zara overheard a conversation that would change everything. "The Omega simulation is impossible," a multi-limbed Arcturian whispered to its study group. "No one's ever completed it." Zara's curiosity was piqued. "What's the Omega simulation?" she asked, approaching the group. The aliens exchanged looks of surprise and amusement. "It's the Academy's ultimate test," the Arcturian explained condescendingly. "A simulation of a dying star system. The goal is to save it and its inhabitants, but it's mathematically impossible. Even the Vraxians, with their hive mind computing, couldn't solve it." Zara's eyes gleamed with the challenge. "Where can I find this simulation?" The aliens laughed. "Don't waste your time, human. If you can't even grasp basic and dimensional physics, you have no chance with Omega." But Zara was already heading to the simulation labs, an idea forming in her mind. For the next month, Zara dedicated every free moment to the Omega simulation. Her grades in other classes slipped, and whispers spread that the human experiment was failing. But Zara didn't care. She had seen something in the simulation that others had missed. On the night before the end-of-term evaluations, Zara made her move. She entered the simulation lab, ignoring the bemused looks from other students. As she initiated the Omega simulation, a crowd began to gather, drawn by the audacity of the human who dared to attempt the impossible. The holographic display sprang to life, showing a star system in chaos. A red giant was collapsing, its planets spiraling towards destruction. Billions of lives hung in the balance. Zara's fingers flew over the controls, her eyes darting between readouts. The crowd watched in stunned silence as she implemented a solution no one had considered. Instead of trying to stop the star's collapse or evacuate the planets, Zara used the star's own gravitational flux to create a series of wormholes. With precise calculations, she linked these wormholes to stable systems across the galaxy. "Impossible," muttered a Vraxian professor who had joined the growing audience. But Zara wasn't finished. In a move that left even the AI running the simulation bewildered, she triggered a controlled nova, using the star's death throes to power the wormholes, and slingshot the planets to safety. The simulation ended. For a moment, silence reigned. Then the lab erupted in a cacophony of excited chatter, translator modules struggling to keep up with the multi-species exclamations. "How?" demanded the Braxian professor, his gelatinous form quivering with a mixture of shock and curiosity. Zara, exhausted but exhilarated, smiled. "You all approached it as a physics problem," she explained. "But I saw it as a story. Every inhabited world has legends of great floods or fires, of civilizations having to adapt or perish. I just wrote a new ending to their story." The professor's color shifted to a deep blue of respect. "In all my cycles, I've never seen such an innovative approach. You've done the impossible, young human." News of Zara's achievement spread across the academy like wildfire. Overnight, she went from being the struggling earthling to the student who had solved the unsolvable. But more importantly, perceptions of humanity began to shift. In the following days, Zara found herself bombarded with questions from students and faculty alike. How did humans approach problems? What other unique perspectives could they offer? The human section of the academy library, once a curiosity, became the most frequented area. As the term ended, Zara stood before the academy board, her head held high. "Ms. Olson," the Arcturian headmaster began, his tone formal but tinged with admiration, "your unorthodox solution to the Omega simulation has forced us to reevaluate our understanding of problem-solving itself. It is the decision of this board that you not only continue your studies here, but that you also assist in developing a new course, Creative Xenological Problem-Solving." Zara's heart soared. "I would be honored," she replied, then added with a grin, "though I hope you're prepared for more human surprises." The headmaster's mandibles twitched, and what Zara had learned was a smile. "My dear, we're counting on it." As Zara left the boardroom, she couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. Humanity had proven itself not just as equals, but as valuable contributors to galactic knowledge. And this was just the beginning. Little did she know that her achievement at the Academy would spark a renaissance of human-inspired innovations across the galaxy, forever changing the course of intergalactic science and culture. The age of human ingenuity in the stars had truly begun. The Deathworld expedition. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the U.S. horizon, her eyes fixed on the swirling crimson planet filling the view screen. Nix-9, nicknamed the Demon's Playground by the galactic community, was classified as a Class X Deathworld, a planet so hostile that most spacefaring races deemed it impossible to explore. Final checks complete, Captain, reported her XO, a towering Arcturian named Zixtil. "Though I must once again express my concerns about this mission." Elena nodded, understanding her second-in-command's apprehension. "Noted, Zixtil. But humanity has a long history of exploring the unexplorable. It's time we showed the galaxy what we can do." The crew of the Horizon, was as diverse as any in the fleet, a mix of humans and aliens, each chosen for their unique skills and adaptability. This mission was more than just exploration. It was a statement to the galactic community that humans could not only survive, but thrive in conditions others found impossible. As the ship began its descent, the true nature of Mix-9 revealed itself. The atmosphere was a toxic soup of corrosive gases, punctuated by electrical storms that could fry their shields in seconds. The surface was a nightmare landscape of active volcanoes, razor-sharp crystalline formations, and seas of liquid metal. "Shields at 80% and holding," called out Lieutenant Kira Chen from her station. "Those storms are no joke, Captain." Elena gripped the arms of her chair. "Steady as she goes, Lieutenant. Take us down." The horizon shuddered as it pushed through the turbulent atmosphere. Alarms blared as external sensors overloaded from the planet's extreme conditions. "Captain, we're picking up an anomalous reading," reported Science Officer Dr. Yuki Tanaka, her brow furrowed in concentration. "There's a structure on the surface, artificial in nature." A hush fell over the bridge. The implications were staggering. If something had been built on this hellish world, it meant someone, or something, could survive here. "Looks like we're not the first visitors to this little slice of paradise," Elena mused. "All right, people, new mission parameters. We find that structure and figure out who built it. Prep the landing team." The next few hours were a flurry of activity as the crew prepared for surface exploration. The engineering team, led by the brilliant Valerian mechanics Earl, worked tirelessly to modify their environment suits to withstand Mix-9's brutal conditions. As Elena donned her suit, she addressed her landing team. A mix of human and alien crew members, each looking both nervous and determined. "I won't lie to you," she began, her voice steady. "This is going to be the toughest expedition any of us have ever undertaken. But remember, every great discovery in history started with someone taking that first, impossible step. Today, we take that step together." The team deployed in the Horizon's specially designed lander, built to withstand extreme conditions. As they touched down on the surface, the true scale of Mix-9's hostility became apparent. The ground beneath them was constantly shifting, as if the planet itself was trying to shake them off. "Incredible," breathed Dr. Tanaka, her sensors whirring. "The mineral composition here, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. The scientific potential is enormous." "Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Doctor," Elena cautioned. "First, we need to survive long enough to study it. Zrul, how are the suits holding up?" The Valerian's tentacles danced over a portable diagnostics panel. "Functioning within acceptable parameters, Captain, but I wouldn't recommend an extended stay." As they made their way towards the mysterious structure, the team faced challenge after challenge. Geysers of molten metal erupted without warning, crystalline spires collapsed around them, and strange, silicon-based life forms that seemed to thrive in the chaos attacked without provocation. Through it all, the team persevered, each member contributing their unique skills. Dr. Tanaka's quick analysis of the silicon creatures helped them repel attacks. Zrul's on-the-fly modifications kept their equipment functioning in the face of constant degradation, and Elena's unwavering leadership held them together, pushing forward when retreat seemed the only sane option. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of struggle, they reached the structure. It was a massive pyramid, its surface a seamless black material that seemed to absorb both light and the planet's natural fury. It's some kind of beacon," Dr. Tanaka announced, her voice filled with awe. "And it's still active." Before they could investigate further, the ground beneath them began to shake violently. A chasm opened up, threatening to swallow them whole. "Back to the lander," Elena shouted over the comm. "Move." As they scrambled to safety, Elena made a split-second decision. She broke away from the group, sprinting towards the pyramid. "Captain, what are you doing?" Zixtil's panicked voice came through the comm. "Someone went through hell to build this thing," Elena replied, her breath coming in short gasps as she fought against Nix-9's punishing gravity. "I'm not leaving without knowing why." Reaching the pyramid, Alina pressed her hand against its surface. To her shock, it yielded, pulling her inside just as the chasm widened, cutting her off from the rest of the team. Inside, Alina found herself in a small chamber, illuminated by a soft, pulsing light. At the center stood a pedestal with what looked like an ancient data storage device. Without hesitation, Alina grabbed the device and turned to leave, only to find her exit sealed. The chamber began to rumble, and Alina realized with growing horror that it was some kind of escape pod, one that was about to launch. "Zixtil, do you copy?" She called desperately into her comm. "I'm trapped in some kind of..." Her words were cut off as the chamber shot upwards with incredible speed, punching through Nix-9's tumultuous atmosphere and into space. Aboard the horizon, the crew watched in disbelief as a small black object ejected from the planet's surface, streaking past them into deep space. "Track that object," Zixtil ordered, his usually calm demeanor shattered. Hours later, as the rescue team safely returned and the horizon prepared to give chase to the mysterious pod, the true magnitude of their discovery began to sink in. They had not only survived a Class X death world, but had stumbled upon technology that could rewrite their understanding of galactic history. As the horizon set off in pursuit of their lost captain, the crew knew that their adventure on Nix-9 was just the beginning. Whatever Alina had found in that pyramid, it was clear that humanity's role in the galaxy was about to change dramatically. The galactic community had underestimated humanity's resilience and ingenuity for the last time. The expedition to Nix-9 would go down in history not just as a triumph of exploration, but as the moment when humanity proved they could face the universe's greatest challenges and emerge victorious. The Quantum Conundrum. Dr. Alexei Volkov stood before the imposing Galactic Council, his weathered face a mask of determination. The chamber, a vast amphitheater filled with representatives from 1,000 worlds, hummed with anticipation. "Dr. Volkov," began High Counselor Zinra, her crystalline form shimmering, "you claim to have made a breakthrough in quantum communications. The Council is skeptical. Humans have been part of the galactic community for barely a decade. How could you have succeeded where races with millions of years of scientific advancement have failed?" Alexei smiled, a glint in his eye. "With all due respect, High Counselor, sometimes a fresh perspective is all that's needed to solve an old problem." He gestured, and a holographic display sprang to life in the center of the chamber. It showed a complex network of interlacing energy fields, pulsing with an otherworldly light. "Ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished beings of all designations," Alexei began, his voice carrying across the chamber. "What you see before you is the key to instantaneous communication across any distance. We call it the Quantum Resonance Network." A murmur rippled through the assembly. The implications were staggering. Current faster-than-light communication methods still had significant delays over vast distances, limiting the cohesion of the galactic community. "Impossible," declared Xor 7, the cybernetic representative of the mechanoid collective. "The quantum entanglement paradox cannot be overcome. It is a fundamental law of the universe." Alexei's smile widened. "Ah, but that's where you're wrong, my esteemed colleague. We didn't overcome the paradox. We embraced it." He expanded the hologram, zooming in on a particular node. "You see, for millennia, scientists have tried to force quantum particles to carry information. But we took a different approach. Instead of using the particles themselves, we utilized the space between them." The display shifted, showing two quantum particles connected by a shimmering field. "We discovered that the void between entangled particles isn't empty. It's filled with what we call probability waves. By manipulating these waves, we can transmit information instantaneously, regardless of distance." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of excited chatter and disbelief. Alexei waited patiently for the noise to subside, his eyes scanning the faces of the council members. Some looked intrigued, others skeptical, and a few He noted with some concern, appeared downright hostile. High Counselor Zinra raised a crystalline appendage, silencing the chamber. This is unprecedented, Dr. Volkov. If what you say is true, it would revolutionize galactic communication. But surely, such a discovery would require immense resources and time. Alexei nodded. It did, High Counselor, but not in the way you might think. He took a deep breath, knowing his next words would be controversial. We didn't build new quantum computers or massive particle accelerators. Instead, we looked to Earth's past. The hologram changed again, showing ancient human cave paintings, medieval alchemical symbols, and mysterious geoglyphs. Throughout human history, our ancestors left behind symbols and structures that have puzzled us for generations. We realized that many of these symbols bore a striking resemblance to quantum field patterns. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. Alexei pressed on. By combining these ancient symbols with modern quantum theory, we unlocked the key to manipulating probability waves. It turns out, our ancestors understood quantum mechanics on an intuitive level, even if they couldn't explain it scientifically. Hexor 7's optical sensors flared. Are you suggesting that primitive humans possessed advanced quantum knowledge? Preposterous. Not advanced knowledge, Alexei corrected, but an innate understanding. Just as birds don't need to study aerodynamics to fly, our ancestors grasped quantum principles through intuition and observation. The Arcturian representative, Wyvlun, leaned forward. Fascinating. But how does this translate to a practical communication network? Alexei's eyes lit up. He loved this part. I'm glad you asked. With a gesture, he expanded the hologram to fill the entire chamber. Council members gasped as they found themselves surrounded by a vast, shimmering network. This is a real-time representation of the quantum resonance network, Alexei explained. Each node is a quantum entanglement point. By manipulating the probability waves between these points, we can transmit data instantly across the entire network. He pointed to a pulsing node. This, for example, is a transmission being sent from Earth to a colony in the Andromeda Galaxy. The message will arrive without any time delay. The implications weren't lost on the Council. Instantaneous communication across galaxies would change everything, from trade to governance to cultural exchange. High Counselor Zinra's form pulsed with a mix of colors that Alexei had learned to interpret as excitement tinged with caution. Dr. Volkov, if this technology functions as you claim, it would indeed be revolutionary. However, the Council must verify your findings and assess the potential risks. Alexei nodded. Of course, High Counselor. We anticipated this and have prepared a series of demonstrations and peer review materials. We're also open to working with scientists from all Council races to further develop and implement the network. As the Council deliberated, Alexei could feel the shift in the chamber's atmosphere. The initial skepticism was giving way to excitement and possibility. He knew there would be challenges ahead, political, ethical, and technical. But in this moment, he felt a surge of pride. Humanity had taken another giant leap, not just for themselves, but for the entire galactic community. The quantum resonance network would usher in a new era of galactic cooperation and understanding. And it all started with humans looking to their past to build the future. As the Council session concluded, and the representatives filed out, buzzing with discussions of the implications of this new technology, Alexei allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had once again proven that their unique blend of intuition, creativity, and scientific rigor could solve problems that had stumped far more advanced civilizations. The universe, it seemed, still had much to learn from the young race from Earth. The final frontier festival. The space station Unity hung in orbit around Jupiter, its massive ring structure glittering with lights from 1,000 different worlds. Today, the station was busier than ever, hosting the first-ever Galactic Cultural Exchange Festival, or as it had come to be known colloquially, the Final Frontier Festival. Commander Zara Olson, now a seasoned veteran of interstellar diplomacy, stood at the center of the station's grand atrium, surrounded by a dizzying array of alien life forms. She couldn't help but smile, remembering her early days at the Galactic Academy. How far humanity had come in just a few short decades. "Commander Olson," a melodious voice chimed. Zara turned to see Ambassador Chen, the legendary diplomat who had paved the way for humanity's acceptance into the galactic community. Quite the turnout, wouldn't you say? Zara nodded, her eyes scanning the crowd. "It's incredible, Ambassador. I never thought I'd see the day when we'd host representatives from over 500 different species on a human-built station." Chen's eyes twinkled with mischief. And to think, it all started with a laugh and a dinner invitation. Before Zara could respond, a commotion near the Earth exhibit caught their attention. They hurried over to find a group of gelatinous Vraxians engaged in what appeared to be a heated debate with the human cultural attaché. "Is there a problem here?" Zara asked, stepping into the fray. The human attaché, a young man named Carlos, looked relieved to see her. "Commander, the Vraxians are, well, they're demanding to participate in something called a mosh pit, but I'm not sure that's safe given their physiology." Zara bit back a laugh. Of all the human cultural exports, heavy metal music had been one of the most surprising hits among alien species. The raw emotion and energy resonated across species boundaries in ways no one had anticipated. "Perhaps," Zora suggested, thinking quickly, "we could set up a special low-gravity mosh chamber where our Vraxian friends can experience the thrill without risk of, splattering." The Vraxians' translators must have been working overtime because their gelatinous forms rippled with what Zara had learned to recognize as excitement. As Carlos led the eager Vraxians away to set up this new attraction, Ambassador Chen chuckled. "You see, Zara, this is why the galaxy needs humanity. Who else would think to create a low-gravity mosh pit for gelatinous aliens?" Their tour of the festival continued, each exhibit showcasing the unique blend of human and alien cultures. There was a zero-gravity ballet performed by humans and avian Thraxi, their movements a mesmerizing dance of precision and grace. In another corner, a Michelin-starred human chef worked alongside a gastron food artist, creating culinary masterpieces that challenged the very concept of edibility. But it wasn't just about showcasing Earth culture. Humans had embraced and adapted aspects of alien societies in fascinating ways. Zara paused at an exhibit where a group of human children were engaged in a complex game of Zagorian mind chess, their young brains easily grasping concepts that had once been thought beyond human comprehension. As they approached the technology showcase, Zara's chest swelled with pride. Here, Dr. Alexei Volkov was demonstrating the latest advancements in the quantum resonance network. A crowd of alien scientists watched in awe as he sent a message to a probe at the edge of the known universe, receiving a reply instantaneously. "You know," Chen mused, "when we first joined the galactic community, many species thought we were nothing more than primitive apes with delusions of grandeur. Now look at us. We're pushing the boundaries of quantum physics and hosting the biggest cultural event in galactic history." Zara nodded, but her response was cut short by an urgent beep from her communicator. "Commander Olson here," she answered, her brow furrowing at the tone of the message. "Commander," came the voice of her security chief, "we've got a situation at Docking Bay 7. A ship just arrived. It's Captain Rodriguez." Zara's heart skipped a beat. Elena Rodriguez, the captain who had vanished on Nix 9 years ago, presumed lost on that deadly world. "I'm on my way," she replied, already moving. As Zara and Chen rushed to the docking bay, the festival continued around them, a testament to humanity's impact on the galaxy. But if Elena Rodriguez had returned, it meant a new chapter was about to unfold, one that could change everything once again. They arrived at the docking bay just as the airlock cycled open. A hush fell over the gathered crowd as a figure emerged from the mist of decompression. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood before them, but she was changed. Her eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and her skin seemed to shimmer with a metallic sheen. In her hand, she held a device of clearly alien origin. "Elena." Zara breathed, hardly daring to believe her eyes. Elena smiled, and when she spoke, her voice carried an echo of something ancient and powerful. "Hello, Zara. Ambassador Chen. I'm sorry I'm late to the party, but I brought a gift for all of us." She held up the device, which pulsed with energy. "What I found on Nix-9, what I've learned in my travels, it's going to change everything." The beacon wasn't just an artifact. It was an invitation. An invitation? Chen asked, his diplomatic composure slipping in the face of this unexpected development. "From whom?" Elena's smile widened, and for a moment, Zara could have sworn she saw the vastness of the cosmos reflected in her old friend's eyes. "From the precursors, the beings who seeded our galaxy with life billions of years ago, and they're ready to meet us. All of us." As the implications of Elena's words sank in, Zara realized that the Final Frontier Festival wasn't an endpoint. It was just the beginning. Humanity had proven itself on the galactic stage, overcoming challenges and pushing boundaries in ways no one had expected. And now, they stood on the threshold of an even greater adventure. The festival around them, with its vibrant mix of cultures and ideas, suddenly seemed like a microcosm of what was to come. As news of Elena's return and her astounding revelation spread through the station, Zara could feel the excitement building. This was why humanity had looked to the stars, why they had persevered in the face of impossible odds. The final frontier, it turned out, was more vast and more wondrous than anyone had imagined. And humanity, with its unique blend of curiosity, creativity, and determination, was ready to lead the charge into this new era of galactic exploration and discovery. As Elena began to share her story with the growing crowd, Zara exchanged a look with Ambassador Chen. The message was clear. The adventure was just beginning, and humanity was ready for whatever the universe had in store. The Final Frontier Festival would go down in history not just as a celebration of how far they had come, but as the launching point for humanity's greatest journey yet. The stars had once seemed out of reach, but now, thanks to human ingenuity and spirit, the entire universe was within their grasp. And so, as the festival continued around them, humanity stood poised on the brink of a new age, one filled with untold wonders, challenges, and possibilities. The human spirit, which had carried them from Earth to the stars, would now carry them into the next great chapter of galactic history. The final frontier, it seemed, was only the beginning.